Good Wednesday morning, 8-3. Mr. Brown here. Wednesday morning, May 13. Today, this is just instructions for the assignment for today and tomorrow. As always, today's assignment is over 2 days. So you have today until tomorrow night, tomorrow evening to finish this. Okay, so 2 days to finish a writing assignment and an ELA assignment. Let me get right into it, okay? So I'm going to open up our classwork. First thing you'd want to do is open up your book Night, okay? So I've got another page here where I can go into classwork again, and you can see your books, the English language, the English version here, the Spanish version, and you'll see just below that today's assignment, May 13th and 14th, Night, Chapter 3. Of course, you should have finished already Chapter 2, May 11th and 12th, Chapter 2, discussion questions, and the song lyrics. Today is May 13th and 14th, Night, Chapter 3. So let me get right into that. Okay, so first assignment for ELA, you can see that I've got instructions there, and it says read Chapter 3, 29 to 46. Okay, this chapter is a little longer than Chapter 2. Okay, so there's some reading involved. You're going to read along with the audiobook provided. Okay, I've got audiobook links here. Okay, I've got Night Chapter 3 Part 1, and I've got Night Chapter 3 Part 2. For some odd reason, the person that did this audio version had to break up Chapter 3 into two different audios. Okay, so you got Part 1 and Part 2, and I'll go over that in a moment. Okay, so back to our instructions. Read along with the audiobook and the Google Doc provided. Answer each question using complete sentences. Be sure to provide textual evidence and explain your text evidence. Below that, I've got that in same instructions in Spanish. All right, so pages 29 to 46. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my book here, and I'm going to find, I'm going to do a find and find page 29. Okay, you can see where Chapter 2 ended. Whoops. Chapter 2 ended. Miss Schachter falling silent. You might remember Miss Schachter, who had the nervous breakdown on the train. We stared at the flames. It says, everybody out, leave everything inside, hurry up. We jumped out. I glanced at Miss Schachter. Her little boy was still holding her hand. In front of us, those flames, in the air, the smell of burning flesh. It must have been around midnight. We had arrived in Birkenau. So chapter 2 ends with them making their way to Birkenau. And chapter 3 begins with the beloved objects. Now, if I go up to part 1, I've got part 1 audio here. Okay. This is chapter 3. Excuse me, I've got part 2 there. Part 1 audio here. Okay. I start that. There we are. Okay, so let me stop that. So you can read along with that. You are going to be reading from page 29 here to... It's not as much reading as you think, by the way, and it's worth it. We're getting into some very intense stuff in the book that's definitely worth a read. Let's see. Okay, up to page 46, where it will leave. After 4 hours, we arrived at the new camp, Buna. The iron gate closed behind us. So from one camp to another one, okay? So 29 to 46, you have the two YouTube videos for audio. It breaks it up. You'll have to read, follow along with the one, then start where the other one leaves off. So again, in this chapter, he arrives in Birkenau. Okay, they're all off the train, and it begins on page 29. The beloved objects that we had carried with us from place to place were now left behind in the wagon, and with them, finally, our illusions. What an amazing beginning to this chapter. Okay, so our objects were left behind, because you'll recall that in the last chapter, the guards told them that if they had any objects on them, watches, jewelry, etc., they would be shot. So they left those behind. But he says we also left behind our illusions. Uh, the idea that if they had any idea that they were going to be okay, it didn't seem so now. Okay, so any illusions that they were going to be okay are now left behind on the train with them. Now, considering what they are witnessing and what they're about to go through. Okay, again, that idea of foreshadowing, you recall, with Meshach, they're screaming. Okay, so you're going to read that. We'll go back. I've got, there's your YouTube videos, chapter 3, part 1, chapter 3, part 2. I've got discussion questions in English and Spanish, whichever one you'd like to work with. Okay, I've got the night, chapter 3 reading questions. Okay, I'm not going to go through the questions just yet. I'll make another video and we'll go through maybe the first 3 as we've been doing before. You can see there, number 1, what does Ellie say they left on the train in addition to their cherished objects? I just went through that. You can answer that one. Why are Ellie and his father told to lie about their ages? Okay, so everything to do with chapter 3. Number 4, how is the infamous Dr. Mengele described? Okay, this is somebody that's actually a doctor in history, a Nazi doctor. Okay, you're going to be introduced to him in chapter 3. So you'll answer those questions, of course, using complete sentences, citing text, as we always do, to make your answer stronger. Okay, so that will be your night, chapter 3 assignment. If I close this up, you'll also see a writing assignment. Okay, let me open that and look at the instructions there. For this writing assignment, you will construct a letter to Moishe the Beadle concerning Ellie's plight. Ellie's plight meaning his journey and what he's going through, and obviously his sort of early journey on this particular experience. Okay, see the attached document called Writing Prompt Night, chapter 1 through 3 for detailed instructions. You can write your letter in the same document. Okay, so if I go down, I've got a writing prompt here in a document. You'll remember that again, Moishe was the beadle, the one, the person, the wise man that worked in the synagogue that Eli looked to for guidance, for spiritual guidance, for spiritual learning, for religious learning. And you'll remember that he fled. Okay, so the prompt here is in chapter 1, Eli explains that Moishe the Beadle escaped Sighet, their small town, after the Germans arrest leaders in the Jewish community. Assuming that Moishe has escaped to freedom, what would you want to say to him about Eli's situation? What feelings would you want to express about the dire circumstances in which his fellow villagers find themselves? I've got directions here. You're going to write a letter to Moishe from the point of view of the reader, describing the situation as Eli is going through, as well as your concerns about what might happen to him in the future. So you're going to write a letter knowing what you know as the reader, knowing what you know about it. So you're going to use certain facts from the book to explain to Moishe what's going on. You're going to pretend Moishe does not know what's going on. You've read it. You're going to explain it to him. Okay, you will explain why it's important that people understand this kind of suffering. Your letter will have 3 paragraphs. The first paragraph. Explain to Moishe what happened to Eli and his family after Moishe left the town by describing at least 2 scenes from either chapters 2 or 3. So you're going to explain to Moishe why this is such an important thing. At least 2 scenes, at least 2 particular things from either chapters 2 or 3. It can be 2 from chapter 2. It can be 2 from chapter 3 if you like, after you've read it. The second paragraph is going to move on to describe in detail your concern by expressing what you think might happen to Eli and the fellow villagers in the near future. Of course, in this case, you can use your prior knowledge of the subject. Maybe in social studies, you've learned a little bit about concentration camps and things like that. So you're going to go from paragraph 1 explaining what's going on so far with Moishe, explain what you believe might happen to Moishe, and then your third paragraph is going to conclude by explaining why you believe it's important that the world must know and learn about the dehumanizing and suffering inflicted upon the Jews. Explain why we should never be silent about this kind of dehumanizing treatment. Then right here, you're going to start your letter, Dear Moishe, okay? So it's going to go into detail. Even with a letter, you can if you like, you can paraphrase or quote directly from text to make your letter stronger. Okay, so take a look at your directions and what your 3 paragraphs are made up of. Okay, let me get out of that. Okay, so again, in classwork, our book, you're going to read page 29 to 46. You're going to go down. You've got May 13th and 14th night, chapter 3. You've got the reading questions. You've got the writing assignment in there. All due tomorrow, okay, at 8 p.m. So we've got 2 days to work on this. Okay, if you have any questions, reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. And good luck with everything, okay? Talk later. Bye-bye.